recorded on SMAC for future viewing. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So the first item on the agenda is public comment. I did look at the sign-up sheet, and we didn't have anybody signed up for public comment. So the next is the superintendent update. So Dr. Rapp, I'll hand it to you.
Thank you, Mrs. Gropey, members of the committee. The first thing that I wanted to mention is that over the past month and a half or so, I've been talking to the school committee about our district goals and trying to determine what our district goals are going to be next year. It's important to gather some feedback and understand what our goals are so that we can move forward together as a district. So after talking to the committee, we agreed on 3 district goals for next year. The first being social emotional health of our students. Coming out of the pandemic, it's critical that our students have social emotional learning, and we continue some of the social emotional work that we've done this year over the next few years. We also want to take a look at special education and our special education services here in the district, as well as our EL population. So the 3 goals are going to make up our new triennial plan. Right now, our triennial plan is expiring in June. We've had one for the past 3 years, and we're going to be creating a new one to take the next 3 years forward, focusing on the 3 goals of social, emotional, special education, and EL. So I'll be working on making up a steering committee as well as working groups for each of those areas so that we can focus as a district on those areas and then be able to present a new triennial plan to the school committee in September. Where it's the beginning of April, it'll give us a chance to work over the next few months and into the summer and really have a solid triennial plan for the committee to take a look at in September. So I'm excited about it. I think we really have a nice district focus right now, and we can work toward building a triennial plan that way. I'm watching our class sizes. I can take any questions on that if you'd like. Okay. I'm watching our class sizes very closely on our elementary schools right now. We've had some move-ins over the last 3 or 4 months in every grade level, but some of them are a little higher than they were in September. And when classes start to approach the mid-20s, I start to wonder if we need to look at hiring additional staff for next year. I'm not ready to make that recommendation today, but we'll be looking at our kindergarten registration on May 5th. And a lot of what happens with our kindergarten registration will determine the needs of our staffing for next year. This year, we had an extraordinarily large kindergarten class. And so we had to accommodate that. They're going to first grade. We know that. If we get an equally large kindergarten class coming in for next year, I'm almost certainly will be back here looking at class sizes all the way around in our elementary schools. But I wanted to let the committee know that it's something that's on my mind right now as we get later into the spring, and particularly as we approach kindergarten registration.
Can I just ask a question?
Please.
What's the general number that we're trying to keep the classroom sizes to?
I like to keep them lower than 23 if I can. So I think, if
That's
they get
high.
to, and maybe
That's high.
that's even high, okay.
Yeah, 23 is high.
You definitely have to have, I would think, a paraprofessional in that classroom to help, if that was the case, but I would hope that we could keep it under.
Yeah, maybe in the steering committee that you mentioned, which is a good idea. You guys can, wait, that's for the triennial plan.
That's for the
but
triennial,
yeah,
we can
that's
look
too
at-
bad. Maybe if you meet with the principals, and you guys can talk with Mr. Ford as well about what we really want to generally agree on as a class size.
Okay.
I think it's important because I think we pride ourselves in the district of small class sizes, and we've always gone to town meeting, and we've always stated that that's one of the key things that the taxpayers of Stoughton provide for the families.
Great, thank
So
you.
that would be great, if you
Thank
don't
you for
mind.
that clarification. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. So I'll definitely be looking at that and looking at the class sizes projected for next year. I heard from the Department of Education earlier in the week that the COVID testing program that was supposed to expire on April 22nd is extended now. So they haven't given us another deadline. They just said they've extended it until further notice. So we'll be able to maintain the testing that we're doing now, as well as giving people the opportunity to get tests for free if they want to. I'm jumping around a little bit from topic to topic, but on March 28th, our 3 town committees, the Municipal Operations, Intergovernmental Relations, and Municipal Regulations, approved our wheelchair accessible swing article slated for town meeting. So they had asked to review that material. Mrs. Husseini and I went before them and had a discussion about it, and they all approved those. And then on March 31st, the Finance Committee endorsed our school district budget and article as well. So we're well poised now to head on to town meeting on May 2nd, but we've had all the legislative work that needs to be done ahead of that. As I mentioned before, our central registration is for kindergarten is on May 5th. We're going to do 2 sessions right here at the Jones from 2 to 4 and from 5 to 7. And what's exciting about it is that parents are going to be able to pre-register online, and then they can kind of identify themselves, and then they'll come in here in person, provide their documentation, and get everything all set up. But we'll be able to get a sense through a bit of a pre-registration process of the numbers that we're looking at. And it's a great opportunity to really kind of see where we're at for the kindergarten over the next 2 weeks. And you'll see that rolling out over the next few days as we put the portal online and we get people kind of ready to go for that pre-registration process. All that does is allow a parent to identify themselves, and then they'll come here on May 5th in that window, and that'll be their chance to give us the documentation that they need to prove residency and identity and all the things that they need to do in order to register. So we're real excited about that. This is the first kind of beginnings of our central registration, and we're hoping to really move toward a more central registration next year. But the kindergarten will give us a chance to figure that out. So we're very excited about that. The last thing that I just needed to briefly mention very quickly is I know that Mrs. Miller is here. At her, last time she was here with the program of study, she mentioned that the high school is in the middle of a NEASC accreditation process for the next few years. The next big step in that process is a collaborative conference visit scheduled for May 9th and 10th. And a small team composed of educational professionals will be visiting the high school during those 2 days to continue that NEASC process. The big visit, the decennial visit, is not until May of 2024, but there's a process now 2 years prior where they evaluate kind of where the high school's at, and they give the high school some recommendations to work on for the next 2 years. So that'll be happening in May. So that's the next step in that process.
So can we just pause for a second? There's a lot of information. I don't know if anybody has any questions.
Is there still a lot of people doing, participating in the COVID testing?
I'm not sure exactly. I haven't been told that it's gone up or down.
Okay.
So.
On the central registration, I know that we're hiring, or you've been interviewing, the coordinator that will be reporting to Mr. Ford.
Yes.
So we're excited about that. We want to thank the both of you for moving on that quickly, because that's something that we talked about at the FinCom meeting, and how it's important for the district and for the principals to have the support for registration and being able to centralize it, kind of get it out of those buildings, put it in a place where it can be focused in a neutral zone, and all of the right people within that org structure are able to kind of do what they need once the information's there. So I do want to thank Mr. Ford and Dr. Rabb on that too. It's good just to hear that it's moved. Anything else?
Thank you. That's all I had.
Lots of good information, thank you. All right, so now we move on to new business, and we're excited to have, who will be presenting this? Will this be you, Dr.
will.
Rabb? Okay.
So I'd like to invite Anish Sin to the table to hear his presentation. If you'd sit right there for us, that would be awesome. Thank you so much. Anish Sinha is a well-rounded student who takes pride in his academics at Stoughton High School. He has a weighted GPA of 4.87, which is extraordinary, and is enrolled in honors level and AP courses at the high school. He's in the top 5 of his graduating class, and he's taking, and I love listing this, he's taking AP Physics, AP English Literature, AP US Government and Politics, AP Spanish, and an Engineering Design honors course.
Wow.
In addition to 2 dual enrollment courses in college. So he's been doing extraordinarily well in his senior year at the high school. He's thinking of attending Boston University and majoring in computer education or computer engineering next year. He's a National Honor Society officer, a tutor coordinator, he's captain of the tennis team, and an Eagle Scout. And so I'm really, really proud to give Anish, the Mass Association of School Superintendents, the Certificate of Academic Excellence this year. Thank you very much.
You can go
please.
around.
Congratulations. We'll practice the diploma in a couple of months. Sure.
That's wonderful. Congratulations. No, thank you. That's okay. I all of a sudden feel very lazy. I'm like, wow. Congratulations, Mom, Dad.
Congratulations.
That's wonderful. What an achievement. Wow. Can't wait to hear about all the wonderful things you do in the future. All right, so the next item that we have is Christopher Carbone, if you'd like to come to the table, our new athletic director. Hello. Dr. Rabb is just going to give us a little information.
Absolutely, thank you. I'm very, very pleased to introduce Mr. Christopher Carbone as the new athletic director here in Stoughton. He's just finished 4 years as the athletic director in Uxbridge, Massachusetts, where he served in that role. He has a large high school interscholastic athletic program, and he also manages a middle school interscholastic athletic program as well for Uxbridge. Previously, he was athletic department assistant at Milton Academy, where he served as the strength and conditioning coach and the head track and field and cross-country coach. He has his master's from Endicott, majoring in athletic administration, and he's a certified athletic administrator. When I spoke to his references, they use words such as proactive, professional, promotes the overall program, works well setting expectations for the program, and someone even used the word, he's fantastic. So I was thrilled to hear that. He'll be a visible leader in Stoughton on the fields and on the courts with clear and articulate goals for the program. And I understand that Uxbridge is black and orange as well. So he's trading black and orange for black and orange, which is fantastic.
I still get to keep my orange sneakers, though.
There you go. So I look forward, I'm very happy to introduce him to the school committee and to the town.
Hello, how are you?
Welcome. We're so excited to have you. Congratulations.
Me too. This is, it's a very fantastic opportunity for me. It brings me much closer to home, offers a lot of professional growth, at this point of my career. And I'm just looking forward to the opportunity. There's a solid foundation, here in Stoughton, state-of-the-art facilities, and I'm just looking forward to, taking that foundation and growing and, getting to work. And it really just kind of hit me today as I was driving by the high school, driving my son to the to basketball, and it really sunk in and amazed me today. So I'm really just looking forward to the opportunity to working with you, your community, and being that leader for your athletic program. So thank you.
Welcome. Good luck with everything.
Thank you.
We're excited to see what you bring.
I can't wait. Pretty soon.
And now you just have to drive one town over and go home, right? So that's
6
the good
minutes.
news. Yeah.
And I'll be rooting for Stoughton all the time.
Aw.
Don't you worry about that.
Oh, yes, that's true. Yeah, I know, the Bulldogs. You can't.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's awesome. Okay, so the next item we have on the agenda are the handbooks. And the first we have the elementary school handbooks, and we have Kathleen Monahan. And we have some other principals in support of her, if you want to introduce them.
Members of the committee, Dr. Rabb, Mr. Ford, thank you for having us. I just wanted to take a few seconds to acknowledge and thank my elementary teammates who helped with all of the review and revision. So Rob Cancelleri, Jake Dorr, Dave Goulia, and Christine Feeney, they're all here to help support this hopefully very brief presentation. So I'm going to just go through the revisions quickly. There are not very many, and they're actually quite minor, but I'm going to go through them, and if you have any questions, just please stop me and ask, and I'll try my best to answer any of your questions. So in the first section, the procedure section, the most notable change is we're moving back to an 8 o'clock arrival time for students. That's what we had as pre-pandemic, and we're going back to that. The start of the school day will remain 8:30, so there's no change in that. The other thing that's most noticeable in this section as well is we have updated the homework policy to reflect the most recent revisions of the district homework policy, and that has been updated in our handbook as well. The section after that has a few changes in it would be the school services and programs section. The lunch and breakfast program section has been updated to just have a basic information about the meals that we provide and just to note, the pricing is going back to what they were prior to the pandemic next year. The health information section, we removed a very small portion under the screening for the MAN 2 testing. This is something that is not applicable or appropriate for all students, and the wording is actually covered very nicely under the TB risk assessment, and that has remained in the handbook, so that's still there. Again, in this section, the registration has been updated to reflect the district's transition to a central registration process that Dr. Rabb mentioned just a few minutes ago. That's been updated. And we added some additional wording under the testing section in this part to reflect the other standardized assessments that we give our students throughout the school year in addition to MCAS. Prior, we just referenced MCAS, and the truth is that the students take other assessments throughout the year as a district. The final section that we had some updates to would be the district policies and legal notices. We added the incident reporting form in our bullying section just so that it's easier for us to access in the need that we need to have it. The release of names to the military recruiters, we removed that from our elementary handbook. We did not feel that it was applicable for our students, so we took that out. And then finally, the residency was updated to reflect the most recent changes that we have here at the district policy. Any questions?
Great job, guys.
All right.
You guys did a really nice, cleaning up all the wording, especially the military one.
Yeah, but not sure that really counts for our kiddos, so,
Yes.
yeah.
No, thank you.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And the cover letters were awesome. Makes it so much easier, so thanks, guys. So the next is Mr. Paul Antonio.
Good evening,
Good evening.
members of the committee. Ms. Kreckler, how you doing? Welcome. So the O'Donnell Middle School, update to the handbook, it's pretty superficial. There's not really a lot of substantial updates, so in an effort to really keep myself on track and from not going 30 minutes in, Ms. Kreckler, I can do that. I'm pretty bad at being long-winded. I just try to kind of describe the updates on the cover sheet. I do want to thank the other middle school administrators who helped me do this, my assistant principals, my school council. And so here we go. In academics and student life, we just have our honor rolls mentioned, our high honor roll and our regular honor roll. We had something called the Knights of Honor Roll, which in its time was lovely and fun and great, but that's been replaced by the Students of the Month PBIS initiative that we do now, so that language was removed. We updated the homework language, our own homework language, to kind of reflect the district homework policy. Some of our stuff needed to be updated anyway, so that language is updated. Nothing substantial really changed to our own language. Lockers, we just removed built-in combinations because we have students bringing their own combinations now. It's really superficial. We removed the cost of summer school because summer school was free last year, and I think it might be free this year. So, and student activities, we used to try to list all of the student activities we did every year, and inevitably stuff would run and not run, so we just did a list of generalized activities instead of specific clubs. Code of student conduct, very basic, superficial edits, I would say nothing substantial. We finally added earbuds to headphones. We should have done that 5 years ago. We added earbuds. It's earbuds way more than headphones. We added smartwatches also to electronic devices. And we removed the price of lunch, which oddly showed up in cafeteria behavior in our handbook for years and years and years. I don't know why the price of lunch was in cafeteria behavior, so we just took that out. Not really sure why that showed up there. And the district policies that were updated, Ms. Monahan had mentioned, homework policy updated, residency policy updated, and the school admissions policy updated. And that's really it for changes for the OMS handbook, not a lot.
Can I just ask a question
Sure.
then? And it's probably going to be applicable to the high school too. But I'm going to ask because I think I ask every year and I just don't understand. I think I either forget or don't get it. And I've asked you a couple. Why do you guys put the copy of the policy in the back of the book? Like, because what if it changes during the year? What happens? Does it make it more work for you guys? Like, does it?
So my handbook is a digital handbook. I actually don't distribute paper copies of my handbook. We email it out, and families agree that they've seen it and they'll follow it, but then we update ours all year. But a good
Okay.
point. nonetheless, but yeah.
No, that answers that. Thanks.
Any other questions on the handbook?
I love the cover letter makes everything easier, right, Katie, all these years? Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. And the last but not least, we have Miss Juliet Miller for the high school.
Thank you. Good evening. I long for the day that we start with the high school and go down to the elementary. When's that going to happen?
Should have said a joke earlier, we would have done it.
No, I certainly don't mind following my esteemed colleagues. I would also like to thank my school council who helped me put together the handbook this year. We have very few changes this year as well. The couple of things to note are in the student life portion of the handbook on page 8. We added a guidance for addressing offensive content in academic discourse. This was a long time conversation that's been happening over the past year and a half, almost 2 years now. Our English department spearheaded this conversation with some former graduates of Stoughton High School, and we really wanted to be sensitive to the books and the texts and the curriculum that we use and making sure that we are handling the offensive content that might be in our academic curriculum and our academic materials in a sensitive way. And so that guidance there addresses the way in which we will address those types of items. The only change to our discipline portion in the grounds to discipline are the electronic devices on page 26. We have, as you know, have struggled this year with cell phones and the use of appropriate cell phones by students in our building. We've looked at a couple of different avenues and ways to address that. We recently had a cell phone contract committee come together. It was comprised of faculty members and myself, and we talked about what we really wanted to accomplish, what we really use cell phones for in the building, because there are certainly positive reasons to use it. And as a high school, we want to be able to teach our students responsible use of electronic devices. We don't want to pretend like they don't exist at all. That then they don't learn the skills that they need to be able to work in the workforce and beyond. So the new device policy that we are suggesting in the grounds for discipline, it was reflective of that contract conversation that we have been talking about, and it's really just handling the consequences in a very different fashion with our students. And we will be hopeful to put that contract out following April vacation this year for our families currently, for them to look at and sign and be aware of what we are moving forward with for our cell phone policies. And in the district policies and legal notices in the back of the book, we did, of course, include the 3 new policies voted most recently: homework policy, residency, and school admissions. And that's it for the high school.
Is yours electronic too?
We do have it electronic, but we also print it because we give the students an agenda book, and so the handbook goes in the front, and they have the agenda in the back. And we do have a note on there that the most recent, or the most current copy is on electronic.
Okay.
We do like them to have a
Yep.
hard copy.
Anybody have any questions for Ms. Miller?
Best of luck with the cell phones.
Yeah.
We're ready.
I know a few girls that might give you a hard time.
Oh, yeah.
Are their
That's
last
all
names
right.
rhyme with Enochian?
No.
No.
I think it's a pretty practical policy, actually.
I read it.
If you
I
read it,
agreed with you, but I
yeah.
just,
It's
bless you.
change. Change is always hard for anyone. Yeah.
We give you guys a lot of credit as principals to have to enforce policies, but also have to deal with cell phones or anything like that when it gets in the way of, like if there's any disruptions during the day. So it can't be easy, so.
I have 3. You have so many more, so I know, that's going to be a good challenge.
Yes.
But I,
We're ready for it.
So what I am going to do, if you can stay, I'm going to ask if if I can get a consideration under old business number 4 to move the item under policy revision IKB homework to discussion at this moment and take it out of order.
So made.
Thank you.
Mrs. Gropey, may I interrupt just for one moment? I just wanted
Sure.
to mention something about this policy in particular, now that
Okay.
we're going to talk about it briefly. I know the school committee has taken a little bit of heat over this policy over the last couple of weeks, and it was very important to me to acknowledge that our district team worked together, and we, the administrative district team here, as well as our curriculum coordinators, worked on this policy together, but I acknowledge the fact that we didn't do very well with internal communication with our principals. And so part of the reason why this has been a little tough to implement is because we didn't do a great job with our internal communication with our principals. And I feel very comfortable saying that with them right here, and they're hearing me say that. The school committee, as we were putting together this policy and putting together different parts of it, did reach out and did ask us to do some of that communication, and it didn't happen to the effect that we really wanted it to. And so I wanted to acknowledge that and acknowledge some of the issues that the committee has been dealing with, because we are going to do better next time with internal communication and make sure that our principals know what's going on, they have an opportunity to give us some feedback, and then we'll be able to work closely together. So I just wanted to make that clear before we go into some of the discussion on the
Okay.
policy.
I got
Thank
thrown
you
off.
for that.
Sorry.
No, I appreciate that, because it was very frustrating to find out that communications didn't go out. It's very important to the school committee, so. with
You
that
tearing
being
up
said,
too. I'm
no,
tearing up.
I
We were
was
thrown
just-
off. Sorry.
It
Okay.
was very near and dear to my heart, so it was hard.
Yeah. It was just a little hard because I feel like we're always getting, it's always school committee with the public, and there are many people that we confer with. We obviously respect everybody's positions, and what the professionals, kind of during COVID, we always say we always go with DESE, we go with the professionals, we go with the people that, have the education around those things to be able to advise us on what the best things are to do. So it's hard sometimes, especially when there's snippets taken out of conversations, public conversations, or snippets taken out of a policy, and people may say, this is done, and how dare they, or this is so irresponsible, and that's not the intent ever. We have a working group for a reason, and we talk through things, and we're here for our constituents, and that's the kids, the families, and, there's so much we hear. And we got a lot of nice feedback and emails from families, which was great.
Yes, we did get
We get a
positive
lot,
feedback from parents.
which was nice, because I think that they were recognizing that there was like stuff being said,
There was
but,
definitely a need.
yeah, but I appreciate that. You've already said that to us several times behind the scenes. You didn't
Yeah.
have to publicly state that, so I appreciate that. Sorry, I got thrown off, guys, but we do appreciate that. We also are always, as a school committee, we care immensely about all the staff within the district. We care not only about, what we are putting, pen to paper, but also how it impacts students long-term. And that's why we always ask for feedback from everybody. And sometimes people do make mistakes or flub, so regardless of whoever it is. And we're a school committee that's able to kind of reassess, sit back, and also take in additional feedback, which is why I asked for that to be moved up. In the agenda, as we have Ms. Miller sitting at the table, and we have the handbooks in front of us, and having the handbooks in front of us and knowing that the homework policy are going to be copied into that, it will be important and imperative for the school committee to take that up and to talk about a slight edit to the policy, as we did, we unintentionally, there was a piece within it, and we thank you, Ms. Miller, for pointing out the point of what we were trying to do within the policy, in showing the disparity between some students that may not be able to do the work versus honors versus AP. And that will be shown within the draft policy. So what we can do is just highlight what that slight change is, and then if you would like to add anything or make any comments, it would be appreciated, or if you don't, or you don't need to. Regardless, do you have it in front of you? Because I get all scattered. You threw me off, Dr. Rab. I'm sorry, I get scattered. So within the homework policy, just the slight adjustment that was made, and again, we appreciate Ms. Miller for you providing it, was we had honors, it was meant to be the 20 minutes, so honors is the 20 minutes per course per night, and AP is a total of 30 minutes per course per night. So it's just making the adjustment within that where we needed to differentiate the two, and we appreciate, your understanding that sometimes some things get deleted and missed, and we appreciate that you've brought that to our attention. I don't know if there's anything you'd like to add.
I would just thank you. I wasn't expecting this, so I don't necessarily have any formal remarks prepared, but I would like to thank the committee for considering another viewpoint and perspective on the homework policy. I know at the high school, we definitely will work within any policy that is set, and we are committed to do that. But we also recognize that we service students from all different levels and abilities, and they come from all different places. And so, when allowing that little bit extra room in honors and AP does differentiate from the elementary levels up to the high school, and the fact that high school is very different than K through 8, and not only the work that we're doing, but in the rigor of that work, the demands of that work, and also preparing our students for life after high school. So I really do appreciate you hearing me, who, as a representative of my building, and my teachers and my faculty, and I really sincerely appreciate the consideration of adding some time.
Okay, so is there any discussion? So quiet in here. Any discussion, Katie? No. Okay. So the intent is for us to make that slight change where it was missing before. And then also it states 9 to 12. Before it stated online, there was an edit to it as well. It stated, I think it was 12 to 9 or something. It was flipped. So that is fixed as well. So that edit needed to occur. But does anybody want to make a motion to approve policy IKB homework? Yeah, not as amended.
I'll make a motion to approve. Second.
Thank you, Lindsay, seconded. So all in favor? Aye. Okay, now what we'll need to do is we'll have to now vote on the handbooks, and what we're going to do is for the 2 handbooks, the one,
3.
the elementary doesn't have a copy of the policy attached to the back, correct?
The homework?
Yes.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think it's just the middle school and the high school. The full policy, or just, no, it's just elementary, I saw.
There's a link to the policy.
Perfect, that's good. So it's the middle school and the high school handbooks that when we vote to approve, it has to be as amended, which means with the updated homework policy. Does that make sense?
Yep.
That's why we just had to do what we had to do.
So I'll
Okay,
make a motion to approve the elementary school's handbook.
second. Nancy, you're seconding things over there in your first meeting. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay,
And I'll make a motion to approve the O'Donnell Middle School handbook,
as amended.
as amended, sorry.
I don't want to, though.
Second?
Did you second it? Oh,
Yes,
you
I
did,
can
oh, down there. Okay, all in favor?
And a motion
Aye.
to approve the Stoughton High School as amended handbook.
Second?
As amended, you said, right?
Yes, I
Okay,
did.
thank you.
Second.
You seconded. You're on a roll down there, Lindsay. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so those 3 handbooks have been approved, and the amendments to the middle and high school, if those can just be made. I will email the revised policy to the MASC and then to Dr. Rab. And then you guys will get it. Is that okay?
Perfect.
Can I just say one thing?
Absolutely, go
I
ahead.
know that on the policies for the high school, I don't know, because we changed the field trip, overnight field, I don't know if that's part of your.
Oh,
The new?
There's been a few policy changes this year.
okay.
So I don't know if we can establish a communication so that when we do change policies, that they do go to the principals so that they're aware of it too.
Do you have that new policy?
No, not in the handbook. I can add it.
Do we know what
I
that
don't know if
policy
you-
number is?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's an important one for you, I would guess. And I would
Absolutely.
venture to guess for you too, Mr. Colantonio, because it's about out-of-state and overnight, and I think that you have on the agenda.
I do.
Yeah, and you do too, actually, right? Two, one's out-of-state, one's overnight.
That's why I was just saying that they have those and.
We can add them to the books if it's okay with the committee. I know you
Yes.
just voted,
Can
but
we just
yeah,
add them to
absolutely.
the books? Those are like really important. Okay. Cool. Thank you for bringing that up, Katie.
You're welcome.
Pina Anokia. All right. Okay. All right, so thank you guys very much for attending tonight's meeting. We really appreciate it. Great job, thank you. Okay, overnight out-of-state field trip. Speaking of the devil is the next item on the agenda. So we have the Deca International Career Development Conference, so that would be you, Ms. Miller, again.
one at a time.
Let's go.
You can come up.
Why not? Just sit
Why
together.
not?
Don't leave her alone.
My secondary buddy.
I feel like we should sing a song.
Yeah, that's all you.
Go ahead. Mic on.
I am here to ask that the school committee consider approving an overnight request, and actually an out-of-state request, for two of our students, Stephanie Costera, grade 11, and Gina Kim, grade 9, to represent Stoughton High School at the Deca International Career Development Conference, which is in Atlanta, Georgia, this April, from April 23rd, 2022 to April 27th, 2022. We're really very proud of these two students who qualified. You have to qualify in order to participate in this international conference, and these two students did through their hard work and under the leadership of Miss Amanda Lyden and Miss Candace Camo. By attending this overnight conference, they would be continuing to learn and practice the skills they have learned for retail merchandising, principles of finance. They will participate in role-playing in the business scenarios, and of course, they'll be improving their communication skills, both written and oral. There is some logistical information that I've included on a memo to you. The cost of the trip is being partially supported through fundraising, which the students and advisors are working on and continue to do. We would just love to be able to have our kids experience this and be able to travel to Atlanta.
Does anybody have any questions or any comments? Any discussion?
No, I think it's a great opportunity.
I know you did. You
I
bring it
did.
up every time Deca comes up, and then I say, I was too.
No, you weren't.
Yeah, I was on Deca. Yeah, it's the best thing ever. Other than,
We didn't go to Atlanta, Georgia, though.
yeah,
just
we
got
didn't go, yeah, we didn't have these things. But, good job. That's great. Do we want to vote
Can I
on this?
make a motion now?
Yeah.
So you're done.
No, hold on. It's wonderful, and I want you to know that Katie won a certain place in DECA. I've heard it 15 times during anything that came up. Okay, go ahead, Katie.
I made second place, so can you just get it right?
I'll make a motion for, to approve the Deca International Career Development Conference.
Oh, she said.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. You beat Lindsay on that one.
Those
I
Deca
like
roots
it.
run deep.
I want an island over
Deca roots.
Matt, it's your turn, Mr. Colantonio. Sorry about that.
Yeah, so I respectfully request approval for a trip for our 8th grade band and chorus students to go what is widely considered to be the Atlanta, Georgia of New England. No. Salem, New Hampshire, Canopy Lake Park. So this is a trip for all of our 8th grade band and chorus students. The beginning of the trip is before they depart for Canopy Lake. The students actually perform for some Southeastern Massachusetts Association of Music Educators. I believe I got that title right. Adjudicators. Some judges show up. The students perform for the judges, and they get feedback on their performances in the morning, and then they pack up and they go on some buses to Canopy Lake Park for, honestly, a celebration of the hard work and commitment that they've put in with or without COVID, but certainly over COVID, to stick with their instruments, stick with their chorus commitments, perform the concerts they could perform, and it's a celebration of all their hard work. So the cost of the trip is $40 per student. There is no fundraising required. The buses are actually not paid for by the students. The Fine Arts Department has some money for field trips. They pay for the buses. The $40 gets the students a T-shirt, pays for the judges to come in, and then obviously Canopy Lake Park. There is a mechanism for students who can't afford the $40 to get some help, and that's it. It's scheduled for June 16th, pending your approval, of course. I put in kind of an itinerary for the day there, and haven't been able to run this trip for a while. It's pretty special when we can run it, and it's kind of the culmination of, 3 years of dedication and hard work for these students.
Very cool.
Very cool.
Did you go to Canopy Lake
I
Park,
did.
Katie?
I
You
did.
can
I
tell
went
us
with
about
Jackie.
it.
I went with Jackie, and it was very fun.
Okay.
So yes, I will approve the 8th grade band and chorus to Canopy Lake.
That's the question.
Field
Where's
Yeah.
the performance at the?
It's at the school, yeah.
Oh, it's at the OMS.
At OMS,
Okay.
yep. And the judges come in and they
Okay.
perform, and then they,
So cool.
yeah. They feel like professionals.
Sorry. Thank you. Sorry.
Any chaperones?
Maybe. I know how to get in touch with you.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I had a
What is
shirt.
it?
I
Oh,
still have the
of
shirt.
course, here we go. So did you do this field trip
I
too?
did. I told you I just did. And I already made the motion.
Girl, all right. Lindsay, just jump, who's going to second it?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Okay, all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye, thank you. Wonderful. That's
All right,
awesome.
thanks.
You know what, this is really nice. Thank you, Dr. Rabb, for bringing this new policy forward for us to adopt again. I didn't realize that it was like a Mass GL, but it's nice to hear what's actually going on in the high school and all these cool things that are happening. I don't think we would have known otherwise, so thank you for coming and thank you for sharing.
Of course, anytime. I
Yeah.
like to brag.
Ditto.
Thank you.
I'm
Thank
really
you.
bad
Have a
with
good
this table
night. Drive
today.
safe. It's okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, we don't have enough in the budget for double-sided tape, so
I'm
we're just
just,
gonna just leave it there, yeah.
I would just hurry up and run out before she
Yes.
calls on you again.
Yes, just go. All right. Oh, I forgot to talk to Dr. Rab. Dr. Rab, we have the school committee reorganization on the agenda, and at this time, I have to give you the gavel.
Oh, no.
I forgot to discuss this with you ahead of time.
Okay.
We were supposed to talk to you right before the meeting started, but then things got a little busy with everybody. So you have to have the gavel. Then, this is very confusing. By the way, welcome Lindsay Kreckler. This is the time I wanted to kind of welcome the new school committee member, Lindsay Kreckler. Catherine Weiss was unable to be here this evening, but I want to welcome the both of you, and we're extremely happy to have you guys join us. So now that you have that, you're kind of like, I guess, the chair for a second. And then what does he do? You tell him.
You're just going to ask for nominations for the chair, school committee chair.
Sure. May I have a nomination for chair of the school committee?
Well, I would like to nominate Sandra Gropey.
Second?
Oh, you can't second it.
Oh, no, I'm asking for a
Yeah,
second.
second it. Oh,
I'm
I thought you seconded it.
No, I'm
like,
asking for
oh,
a
you took
second.
your role seriously.
No, no, no.
Oh,
Any
okay.
discussion?
Second.
Yeah. No.
Any discussion? No? All in favor?
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Aye. Now you hand that back.
No more fun and games for
And
you.
then, and now Katie, we hit you in the elbow with this. Okay, so
No,
now.
do the knee. Let's see if it really works. No.
Actually, we'll do that after. So now, I've forgotten the roles. So now.
Now you're the chair.
We need to make thank you. Now we need to we need a recommendation. If anybody would like to put anybody up for vice chair. Now, I would like to throw Katie's name in the ring again, as she's worked really hard on helping and doing a lot of the stuff as we've gone through the pandemic.
I second the nomination.
Oh, you couldn't have done that fast enough. Is there any discussion? She's like, don't look at me down that end. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Fabian wants it.
Yeah. That was fast. That was the fastest I've ever seen you.
Hey,
Uh,
we want qualified
You are
people.
funny. Okay, so, that's that piece, and then there's so much here. The other pieces, we had the Joint Triennial Capital Plan Subcommittee. I had gotten
No,
a
no.
little disheveled when we were talking, Dr. Rab, and I mixed up my papers.
All right, so here we go. We've got the joint, yeah, that
There
one
it
right
is.
there.
I got disheveled, he made me,
Oh, see, now they don't have to
Die.
change their handbooks again.
oh, yeah.
Oh, no, they do, because we have new members.
Oh, yeah. They need to put the new members' names on them. Okay. So, the Joint Triennial Capital Plan Subcommittee, which is a tongue twister, we started talking about the last meeting. We went to Dr. Abb, and you had gone to support me, thank you. I went to the select board meeting. Deborah Roberts and I have been discussing merging the Stoughton Public Schools Facilities Master Plan and then the town manager's municipal capital plan, I believe they reference it, and merging them just so we can have a collaborative approach and see all of the needs throughout the town from the municipal and the school departments, and look at what, is coming so that folks within town meeting or within the town in general will have a better understanding of what's coming down the pipeline and know what to expect in terms of what's coming to town meeting with articles for capital improvements, et cetera. So we met last week. It was Deborah Roberts, Steve Cavey, Katie, myself, and so the four of us will be meeting in the future. And this is a charge for the subcommittee that we drafted. It's, we had a really good discussion around the charge, because what we're really trying to do is make sure that the subcommittee that is going to get together to merge the two plans have a clear expectation of what we're looking for them to do as a school committee and a select board, and what is the responsibility of yourself and the town manager within that, and what the purview is, so you guys would co-chair that effort within the subcommittee. So it's just here. It's something for folks to review and to see. It's very similar to the Facilities Master Plan subcommittee. And that's really it. We just, the difference within that, I'd say again, is the co-chairs of the CPS. It's, you know, I'm just reading it, co-chairs will preside at all subcommittee meetings. This is just, I'm reading out of this, you don't have to, I'm reading a portion of the subcommittee form, which will be in the minutes. They'll represent both the select board and the school committee at the meetings. And the secretary will take minutes. There'll be a secretary that's appointed. And basically, we just noted out who the folks are that will be part of that whole process. And I just want to reiterate that it's going to consist of 2 members of the community. We feel very strongly as a school committee that everything be transparent and that the public always be part of some type of process when it comes to capital plans and the amount of money that it takes to plan this out. So there'll be 2 members. The select board will appoint one, the school committee will appoint the other, the town manager and the superintendent of schools, director of maintenance and operations for the schools, the Department of Public Works superintendent, finance and taxation committee representative, and a community preservation committee representative. And any presentations of the capital plan shall be conducted jointly by the town manager and the superintendent of schools. It's important that you're both there to support each other, so you can both speak to whatever those capital projects are. And we have faith that you guys work well together, so it's a great project for you guys to work together to merge everything. So there's the charge. That's what it is. We've discussed this in previous meetings and the previous stuff. We did try to clean everything up before you came, but this would be that piece. So I just pause and see.
No, I love it. Thank you.
Okay. Yep. Okay, that's it. So there'll be more to come with that. The next step will be, I think the select board's discussing it in their meeting at the same time this evening. She's presenting it to them. And then we're revising the timeline that we had previously to move the dates, because we were going to do this as a joint meeting with the select board to review the charge and then approve. But then we kind of discussed this ahead of time, and we kind of just had our ducks in a different row to kind of catch up. So they're going to discuss and do that part, and then we're going to circle back and come back together to put out the word that we're looking for 2 members of the public to be part of the subcommittee, and then we'll go through the process of appointing. Cool?
Mm-hmm.
All right, thanks. I think it's you, Dr. Rabb.
Thank you, Mrs. Gropey. So we have, our last item is the transportation contract. So this morning, we had the bid opening for the transportation contract dated March 28th. We had 1 submittal from First Student, who is our incumbent contractor. So we'll be working together with First Student for the next 3 years. This bid is a 7.7% increase over last year, and that's primarily because we're adding 2 buses to the contract. So we're going from 11 buses to 13 buses. We've insisted on video cameras on all of our buses. And we've also, it was a little bit strange, but we insisted that on the weekends, our buses couldn't be used for any non-Stoughton activities. And so we wanted to make sure that, you know, they weren't contracted out for any other means. So it has to be a Stoughton-approved activity on the weekends. So all of that taken together was a little bit of an increase in year 1. But in years 2 and 3, it's a typical 3.5% increase, which is about, you know, the cost of living adjustments for the drivers and gas prices and so forth. So for the year 1 total is $1.2 million. But for the 3-year total, and the number that I would ask the committee to vote, is $3,821,359.45 for a 3-year contract to continue with First Student.
And the difference between doing a 3-year contract versus a 5, as we've done in the past, that we're just coming out of, is it beneficial to the gas prices now versus?
It is. Well, gas prices are volatile. So we have an opportunity to really take a look at them over the next 3 years. And the other issue is because everything is kind of up in the air, a 3-year contract gives us a little bit of flexibility 3 years from now to put the bid out there again.
Does anybody have any questions, any discussion?
No.
That's great. Thank you, Dr. Rao.
So I'll make a motion to approve the transportation contract and the amount that Dr. Rapp stated, because I forget it. It was 3 million point, all right,
0.8 mil.
3.8 million.
Do you need it, Nicole, or no?
You want the exact amount?
Do you need it? 3 point.
She's got it.
Got it? Good.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then, did you second it?
Sure, I'll
You
second it.
did? All right, okay. Okay, when we vote on tons of stuff, I think we start to go, who voted? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Wonderful. The next on the agenda is correspondence. Does anybody have any correspondence?
I just got
No, I
that
discussed it earlier.
one email.
Yeah, the one email I discussed earlier. So, how you doing?
Good, how you doing?
Good. And then we have the acceptance of minutes from March 8th and 22nd, 2022. So if we look at March 8th minutes,
I'll make a motion to accept March 8th meeting minutes.
Second the motion.
which one was it? Hold on one second, sorry. Okay. Yep, you seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
Aye, one abstention, Lindsay. What I would like to do if you guys would let me indulge and ask if we can take March 22nd off the calendar. I'd like to ask that a recording secretary review the meeting and revise the minutes under section homework, IKB, to note some of the discussion that we had, just a little more high level. I think that what was captured, I was reading a part of the policy, and I don't want that to be what's captured in the minutes as the discussion. I know that Fabienne had brought up good points, Anita Hill did, and also Katie. And I just want to make sure that people understand when they look at the minutes that it was a mindful discussion, and that there was like some context behind why we had the policy. And then I think where it says special adaptive software is being used, if you can note that that was Mr. Ford stated.
Yep.
So that way he gets, credit for bringing that forward in that discussion.
Yep.
But if we can just bring it to the next meeting, and if you don't mind, is that okay? Okay. And we can always discuss offline and we can talk, but I just want to make sure it actually captures some of the stuff. Is that okay? Okay, is that okay with you guys?
Yeah, no, that's fine. I was actually gonna suggest.
There's a lot. I didn't want to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. That's perfect, thank you. So March 28th, we'll be back on the next agenda. And then that brings us to the end of this meeting. Our next meeting will be May 24th. So I will look, Katie, I know this is
I'll
your
make a
favorite
motion
part.
to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second the motion.
Oh, very happy second down that end. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ooh, Captain. And Lindsay, congratulations on getting through your first school committee meeting. Wasn't as bad as you thought, right?
No, there was.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.
Good night.
Night.